everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Sell More Book Show, episode 484, where the air conditioning is always going loudly and the facts are even faster. I have no idea. I'm Brian Cohen from the 5-Day Author Ad Profit Challenge, joined by Claire Taylor from FFS Media, coming to you pre-recorded from St. Paul, Minnesota. Claire, how are you on this fine day?
I'm doing great, Brian. I'm ready to charge headfirst into this show, but I also would be remiss not to mention that I have the Hero's Journey of the Enneagram Masterclass coming up at the start of August, and anyone who wants to sign up for that and is a self-proclaimed big, giant story nerd should go to ffs.media/classes and sign up.
Love it, and you should go to authorsadvertise.com if you want to join the ad challenge that starts today. So a previous week's question was, do you think Amazon using AI to produce a summary of reviews will be a positive or negative for authors? And this has not been rolled out to books yet, so this is somewhat speculative. Bethany Pratt said, positive. I think the AI will be able to guide more readers towards the books they are most likely to enjoy.
And R. Max Tilsley said, it all depends on the quality and the implementation. I could see this being gamed. Weighing the different star ratings and identifying why they were given is no easy task for a system that doesn't actually understand the reviews it's processing. Yes, that is a
what
problem.
do you think on this one, Claire? Yeah, because you weren't here the week I talked about it, so...
Yeah, and I think that, any new implementation is shaky and it's going to have problems. And it's not about, do we just never implement new tools? It's about how well is Amazon going to respond when people are like, hey, This is a major problem.
Yeah. And to this point, when Amazon has been told about major problems on Amazon, it has opted to wait it out.
Yeah, so I mean, we may be in for a ride, but we'll see. I mean, we've covered so many stories of them messing with review stuff. It was like, oh, now we're gonna dump all the international reviews into the average. Now we're gonna add Goodreads. Now we're gonna take Goodreads out, and then suddenly, hey, here's twice as many reviews. I still don't know where those came from. They're just showing up. First you had to leave a review. Now you can just do a rating. So we've been through this, and it's all gonna be okay eventually.
Yeah, I agree. So let's get into this week's top story of the week. Hey, big spender. And we've been sued. A promotion run by indies may have temporarily made Amazon ads spend way more than normal, according to posts in the Indie Inspiration with Alana Johnson and 20 Books to 50K Facebook groups. Author Katie Algibers shared that her ad spend on June 30th, 2023, went from her average of $70 per day to $1,400. And commenters said they'd heard of similar increases happening on the same day to other authors. At the same time, Zoe York's Stuff Your Kindle event hit nearly 1 million unique viewers and 80,000 visitors per hour, according to a post on Twitter. The speculation is that the event, lovingly known as ZoeBub, may have led to many readers seeking out free books on Amazon, causing a massive spike in impressions and clicks on Amazon ads without the corresponding increase in sales. According to Amazon, they are allowed to take unused daily ad spend from the rest of the month and spend it at the end of the month, though this has rarely happened in such a dramatic fashion. This is a developing story, but while many Kindles were stuffed on June 30th, hopefully ad account budgets will not be nearly as stuffed here in July. Claire, there's always a part of me. It's like, I'm about to do this ad challenge, right? It would behoove me, as a co-host of this show, to sweep this story under the rug and not talk about it, right? But of course I have to talk about it because this was a huge deal. Sent ripples throughout my course. Everyone wanted to talk about it, of course. So, Claire, had you heard about this? What were your thoughts on this?
I have heard about this anecdotally. I actually am realizing that I have not checked my ad spend for that day, and I'm like, maybe I should go check that. But I suspect that because the Stuff Your Kindle event was mostly romance, it may not have affected non-romance genres as much. I don't know. I don't have data on that. But if you're going to have like ads that are targeting these books and that is actually the cause, that would be my assumption of the pattern. Yeah, this is interesting. This is it is still developing. We don't necessarily know that there is a one-to-one because, like this says, June 30th. Also, Amazon might just be trying out using the rest of the budget at the end of the month. We don't know. If they're just like, let's give this a shot. Let's see if we can take a bunch of this money, whether or not it's effective. So, yeah, I think it's interesting. I don't know that it's anything that authors necessarily need to take action on. I mean, maybe if you want to play it safe, keep track of this and pause your ads or lower your ad budget or something on the day that the next Zoe Bub happens. You could, if you want to be extra cautious, you could try that. But I don't know. What do you think, Brian?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely will have some thoughts in the hot potatoes, but I think that right now, until proven otherwise, this is not something that has ever really happened in this way. And we don't know. Could it happen on Friday? Could it happen any day? Sure, absolutely could. There are steps you can take to kind of limit your exposure on this stuff, which I will go into in a minute here. But I do think that there is always the risk. Like, Facebook has been known to spend a couple $1,000s randomly in someone's account from time to time. These kind of things can always happen in ads. And so you do have to be ready for things like this where it spends. I think this is very much a one-off sort of thing where in Kathy's case, it spent 20 times more than it normally would have. Yeah. This most people did not see over even $100 in ad spend on that day. But we do have to keep in mind that if ads are running and something weird happens, we did say to Amazon, hey, take my money. And so we do have to keep in mind that there is always risk with any kind of promotion, any kind of advertising, and we do have to keep that in mind.
Yeah, totally. I mean, Amazon ads, just like everything associated with Amazon, they're always tweaking how it works. They're always trying to improve it. And when you have a system that's always being tweaked, there are going to be these weird anomalies.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So, hey, big Claire. So, I don't know. It's your normal size Claire.
I actually do look big because I'm closer to the computer today. So.
That's true. That's true.
Whoa.
So, I'll move closer. Oh, my back. So, Claire, in this hot potato, I'm going to ask you, are ads an essential part of an author's marketing arsenal?
Now, if an author has a marketing arsenal, I would say that ads are probably a good part of that. They are probably a good weapon in that arsenal. But I don't necessarily think that every author needs to be or should be or is just ready to be running ads. I think that there is a time when ads can start to be beneficial. I think you have to look at the platform. I think you have to look at the cost and the ROI. Sometimes, sometimes it's not, you're not in a place where the products you have, like the quantity or the packaging or the quality of any kind of quality is going to convert to the point where you want to start running ads and make, presumably when you run ads, you want to make at least your money back. Or right. You want to get good data so that later you can make your money back. So if, maybe you're not in a position yet for it to be profitable, but you want some data, that's fine. But the data may not even be relevant by the time you start. You're ready to market it because it changes so frequently, and you may not know how to interpret the data. So that's another thing to think about prior to starting, is if you have the tools to interpret the data you're going to get, what your timeline is before those ads need to be profitable, and if you have the budget for it. I mean, we were just talking about sometimes these ads can do funky things. If that's going to mean, if something goes a little haywire and suddenly you can't pay your mortgage, that's going to be a problem. So maybe you're not yet in a position where you can really, really dance with the devil on some of these things.
Oh, yeah.
So yeah, there are also plenty of authors who can make the money that they need to continue writing without running ads. So there are options.
Yeah. I think that was well put, Claire. I saw Pierre-Alex Gentil recently shared a quote from someone else, so I'm going to credit who I can. If an ad isn't working 90% of the time, it's the book.
Oof.
And that's hard. That's hard. But like you said, you need to be able to interpret the data. And more often than not, it's not the ad, which is sad, but that's why we calculate things like conversion rate to see how many clicks it takes. Because if it takes too many clicks, it's either mistargeted or it is a problem with what a reader expects to see from a book like yours and what you're presenting.
Yeah, and that hurts to see that maybe it's the book, right? But it doesn't necessarily mean it's a bad book. It doesn't necessarily mean that it could never sell. It's just data. Now you know that it's probably something on the book end, and you can stop running ads until you get that figured out, and then you can go back and hopefully have more success.
Exactly.
All right, Brian, how should authors protect themselves from ads getting out of control?
So if you're worried about out of control ads, the first thing you want to look at is a portfolio budget. So you can actually cap how much your ads for a certain book will spend by putting all the ads for that book into its own portfolio, which is like a folder. And you can say, don't spend more than X. And it will not. It will stop the ads after spending more than X. The only time I've seen that not happen is if someone put in a very, very high accidental bid, like $20 on a book, and it just went too far before the portfolio budget could cap it off. So the second thing you need to do is really be on the lookout for rogue bids, where you have accidentally bid higher by virtue of missing a decimal place or by virtue of accidentally clicking the very tempting apply all button, which adds the suggested bid to all of your targets. We don't want that suggested bid. And the third thing to do is you really, especially when you're just starting out, you want to be in this dashboard every day. You want to be making sure that nothing is going haywire. You want to make sure that you see what's happening with that money, see what's going into it, and that can help you to catch things like this. Because if you checked your ads every day and you were in the dashboard on June 30th at 10 a.m., you might have been able to say, oh, something weird's happening today. I've got more clicks than yesterday and it's only 10 a.m. Let's do something like lower my bids, like change that portfolio budget, because there is always something you can do, but you need to be present in order to do it.
Are you telling me that my $65 per click bids aren't what I want to be doing? I should have put a decimal?
Unfortunately, you did need a decimal place.
It was only a $250 mistake.
We've all made it. We've all made it too. I have asked Amazon when I spoke with them, can you put a warning in if like a box pop up with a warning if a bid is like way higher than their average bid? And they're like, we'll tell the engineering team about it. So who knows? But fingers crossed for that one. Claire, we've got lightning, we've got thunder, we've got all sorts of electric conductivity. we've got the same question for each other to start. So Claire, how much do you spend on ads each month?
Okay, so here's why I'm not going to answer this.
Oh, I love it. I'm going to answer it for what it's worth.
Yeah,
Cheater.
you can answer it. I'm not going to answer it because I know that if someone sees my business and says, I kind of want my business to run a little bit like Claire's, which I don't know why anyone would say that, but I'm just proposing that might be a situation. I don't want them to hear what I have to say about my ad bid or my ad spend and say that, well, if I want the amount of sales Claire gets, I need to spend that much ads, because it's just not that simple. There's so many decisions that go into it. So for instance, how much money do I have to play around with? How much money am I generating from, say, consulting? What are my expenses the next month? Is it a month where I generally don't sell much? So should I lower the ad spend? Should I raise the ad spend because I know that, direct the ads to my box sets because I know it's a good box set month. So there's just a lot of decisions that determine how much I spend on ads each month. And then sometimes I want to spend more on ads and the ads just don't spend my money. So if that's the case, then I spend less. Sometimes the ads are spending my money. And so then I go here, and they're spending my money and earning me a good amount of money in return. And I go, here, have some more money. So it fluctuates month to month based on a lot of variables of my business, which is a very unique thing. And probably no one has those same variables. So that's why I'm not going to give a number, because I don't want people to use that as a benchmark.
All right. Fair answer.
Sorry. What's your number, Brian?
So my ad spend each month is for two different businesses. I spend $500 to $1,000 promoting my books. I spend $2,000 to $10,000 promoting the author education business. And a lot of that has come over time where, hey, I thought spending a certain amount, like I thought spending $2,000 on the books was better, and that didn't lead to anything. I thought spending up to $20,000 on the author business in a month was a good idea. It turned out it wasn't. And so I have come to these numbers over a lot of time, over my specific business, and it's definitely your mileage may vary with your particular spend.
Yeah, I think that's another, I didn't mention that factor, but the time, because you can't just immediately spend a lot of money on ads, right? It's right. Like you need to work up to it. So that's another thing. I've been running like Amazon ads. I started running at the start of 2016. So I have a lot of data on my dashboard and a lot of experience in that. So I'm gonna use them differently.
Right. No, good thoughts, good points there. So Claire, how do you deal with the negative people in your life who aren't supportive of your creative work?
Okay, so as far as people who are not supportive of my work and are negative, if they are just kind of in a bad way, they're going through a bad time and they're negative and they just don't actively support my work, I may sort of give them a specific spot in my life where they get to occupy that is not around the creative energy that I need to continue to run this business. If they are actively trying to undermine my business, they are uninvited from the party. They are not going to be, I am not going to make space for them. That's just not how I can continue thriving. So, I have lots of friends who couldn't care less about my business, and that's actually a really nice thing. I don't tell them about my business. I certainly don't ask them for advice on things. One of my really good friends, he said, I don't really read books. Should I read books? And I said, you know what? I don't care if you read books or not. I really don't care. I don't ever need you to read my books. It's up to you. It's your life decision. And I really like to have that in my life because then I get to just go be me with that friend. So there's a difference between actively supporting and just being neutral and then actively detracting. And if someone is actively detracting from your creative work, you need to create a bubble that they are not a part of for your creative life to thrive.
Yeah. Love it. All right, you got a
Brian?
question for me. Yeah.
I do. How did you know I had a question for you? This burning question, was it in my eyes?
Oh.
How do you cultivate more positive people in your life?
So to cultivate more positive people in your life, I think you need to actively seek them out. I think you need to have an open mind to where these people have been hanging out in your circles. If there are positive people that you have, maybe for reasons of being negative yourself, kind of pushed away. If there are positive people at events that maybe you've been usually hanging around the same kind of people, so you haven't allowed yourself to connect with them. I remember when I started to kind of focus more on positivity in my life, negative people started to drift away from me. And at that point, I was like, no, what am I doing that's wrong? But I was doing the right things. And over time, the additional people that I started to connect with ended up being a whole lot more positive. And so sometimes it just happens naturally, but sometimes you need to get up, get out, and try to find them so that you have more positivity.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that.
That's how we connected, Claire. You were the most positive person I ever met.
That's
My
why
whole
we work
life.
so well together.
All right, Claire, to round us out in this only truth-telling episode of the Sell More Book Show, I love this question. So, are books the main component of your retirement plan, or do you have other ways that you invest in your future?
Since we're telling the truth, I'm going to tell the truth here, and a lot of people aren't going to like it. Books are not the main component of my retirement plan, but my retirement plan is going to look very different because I'm child-free by choice. So I don't have a lot of the future expenses that people with kids do. So I get to make very different choices. I don't care how much money I leave behind. My husband and I are on the same page about this. We don't really care. So there's this sort of die with zero mentality that has been evolving with the retirement plans for people who are child-free. And so books are some of it. They will always be assets that I can sell the rights to. That is something that I am building as part of it. But I also, solo 401k, my husband works for the city, right? He wanted the really stable job with the pension. So he's doing that. So it's a very holistic approach we're taking, because I think one of the best things that I'm doing for investing in my retirement plan is investing in my health day by day. Because that's going to be a lot of the expense, especially if you live in the US, where healthcare is maybe a little pricier than it needs to be sometimes. That is going to be a big expense, but also, mental health, physical health, all spiritual health, all those things. If you try and put them to the side to earn more and only have that eye on the future, that's not investment, right? You have to invest in many ways, not just financially. So that's something that I'm doing as far as my investment plan, along with just, making sure, looking at what we have. We own a house. That's a huge amount of it. So we have different sources of, money for our retirement plan, but we also have a retirement plan that is not going to be overcompensating for years of not enjoying ourselves. So it's not going to be quite as expensive.
Yeah. And that makes a lot of sense. And thank you for sharing your specific situation, because obviously it'll be different than some people's.
Yep. If you have kids, you got to have a different plan. That's just the way it is. And we wanted this to be part of our plan. So.
Yeah. So, Claire, we need a question of the week. We could talk about the Amazon ads. We could talk about anything at all. What would you like to ask a question about?
Let's look at the cultivating more supportive people in your life.
Okay. So what have you done in the past few years to try to find more positive people to hang around with.
Love that.
Yeah, and you can answer. Thank you. And you can answer the question of the week. SellMoreBookShow.com in the comments section for episode 484. Rocket's here. She used to be in the beginning of every Sell More Book Show episode. She was hanging in Riley's crib behind me. But she wanted to hear. She's like, what's been happening with this old show that I remember? Actually, she's like, it's 2.5 hours till dinner. So what's up? But yeah. Claire, I'm so glad that we were able to do the show together for 2 whole weeks straight.
Wow, it's a record. I don't think that's factual, but it feels like a record.
a recent record.
It's a July record.
Yes, that's true. And you can go sign up for Claire's classes at ffs.media/classes. You can go to the 5-day challenge at authorsadvertise.com. Claire, anything you want to leave our listeners with today?
No. What about you, Brian? You have any last thoughts you want to?
Y'all, keep on looking for things that you enjoy doing in all of this, and then keep shedding things that you don't enjoy doing.
Love it.
There we go. Awesome. Thank you. All right, for Claire, I'm Brian. Have a great week of bookselling, everybody. And we'll talk to you next week for episode 485. Bye.
Bye.